Well, Australia's largest employers will consider new measures to facilitate the nation's vaccine rollout. Staff could be offered flexible hours and access to paid or unpaid leave if they want to get the jab. The Australian Industry Group was among a number of business leaders at a roundtable meeting yesterday, and joining us live now is Chief Executive Willox. Ines, good to see you. At least someone's taking the initiative at the moment.
Yeah, hi Pete, good to see you too. Look, this is really important that we all pull together here, and employers are more than willing to play their part. We are able to actively encourage staff to go and get vaccinated, and that's what we want to do. The next big step is to turn Australian workplaces into vaccination sites, and that's something that many employers, particularly larger employers, are keen to do. To do that, they need to get an indemnity like the pharmaceutical companies that produce the drugs, the drugs do, as well as the doctors who administer the jabs. So that's the next step. But it's important here, Pete, when we've got a lot of national discord over how we're handling the virus and how what the roadmap forward looks like, that businesses and workers play their part. And we made it very clear in that roundtable yesterday, as did other groups, that we'll do all that we can to make this work.
Which businesses, which of those large businesses are we talking about here, Ines?
Well, you're talking about, of course, banks, miners, telcos. The big employing businesses are very keen, and right down to smaller businesses. I think you're not going to get the SMEs being able to do this naturally, but what we can do there is to help them find ways to get their staff to have the flexibility to get vaccinated, and that's if the staff choose to do so, and that's a key point here. So, we all want to do our bit. We're in a strange situation where you've got one state government seemingly saying don't get vaccinated, which is sort of undermining the national effort. We hope that they get back in the boat too.
Well, I mean, it's not just Queensland though. I mean, they're being supported by West Australia. They're being supported by Victoria as well. It's a fracturing of the federation, it would seem at the moment. What would you say about yesterday, this week's shenanigans, really, Ines? How would you describe it?
Well, we're in a really weird place, Pete, where you've got one government really publicly out there and another couple of state governments sort of tailing along behind them at the moment saying, don't get vaccinated. And we've just had months and months of complaints about not being able to get enough vaccines to vaccinate more people. So something's happened somewhere in the system. And I don't know if it's deflection or not, but everyone, in the business community is really bemused, and some are angered by this, because we want to get as many people vaccinated as possible, and people should have the right to make an informed choice themselves around what they want to do. Vaccines, I think we all know, and we were making this point yesterday, they're not going to be the silver bullet, but they are very much a front line of defence here, and we need to sort of step this up in terms of the number of vaccines that are available. That will help employers, and we need to encourage people where possible.
So do you think some leaders in us have lost their minds in pursuit of this zero COVID mentality?
Well, look, Pete, we're having states locked down for less than, or big cities in states being locked down for less than a handful of cases. We're having parts of Australia locked down without any cases. We're having new restrictions brought in some centres without any cases. This seems to be a race to the bottom.
We're going backwards.
Well, we are, and we now have over half of the country now in lockdown again, and we're probably lucky to have sort of 30 active cases across the country at the moment. And I'm now getting calls from international media asking the question, what is going on down there? I think people are more than struck at how odd all this has turned out to be in Australia. We may have done very well at the start, but we just cannot seem to get any agreement in the National Cabinet around how to tackle this in a united, cohesive way, and that's undermining everyone's efforts. And in the end, it's going to undermine our economic success, our community success as well. So we need to get the train back on the tracks very quickly. And it's really important that we do.
Massive flow and effects. You're right about that. Ines Willox, always good to chat to you. We'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks, Pete.